Well, hello there. Thanks so much for taking a risk and clicking on my video today. Shannon West here, and I am just excited as ever to show you a fun stamping project in the next round of the Great American Stampin' Show. I believe round 10, but it's also the season 2 finale. So don't worry, we'll be back with season 3, but for now we're going out with a bang and doing a really fun video and challenge. So if you've seen some of these videos before, you know I have 3 competitors, Julie, Jody, and Brandy, and they are so good at stamping and are really amazing friends to work with. But you know what? I've brought my A game today, and I really hope that I am a contender or a winner for this week. Congrats to Julie. She won on the last round, which was Stampin' Blends, and she showed a really cool project. So congrats, Julie. Did a great job, but now we're turning over and starting fresh and new. And I am ready to show you what this one's all about. You might be wondering what the Gas Girls are featuring in this final round of season 2. And the answer to that question is on page 22 of the annual catalog. Here's 22. Over here, we see all of these little thumbnails that are card front templates. These are so cool. I love them. And they just really give you kind of a jumping off place. Templates are something that I struggle with, but when I see one of these, I can instantly make sense of how the spacing goes on the card. Now these are tiny, and so one tip that you could do is to draw it out on your grid paper. You could draw a box that's the size of your card and then draw out the different elements so that you can get a really exact feel or exact measurements for what these different pieces should be if you want to. But I personally think they're more just a guideline to kind of help you and guide you. You don't need to worry about being so exact with the measurements. So which one is Shannon going to choose? Isn't it funny when people talk about themselves in the third person? That's what I just did. This one right here is the one that I choose for today. Look at that. There's all those little pieces and then a circle focal point. And that's one thing you'll notice about all of these is they have a focal point or some place for your eye to rest when it looks at it. I'm going to go ahead and just put that away. I don't even need to worry about the measurements because I know in my mind what they're going to be. And with the supplies that I have sitting here, you might gather that I'm going to do a little bit of watercoloring. Well, maybe you can't tell, but this is watercolor paper. Then I've got a couple of re-inkers, and I've got my Petunia Pop ink pad because surprisingly, I don't have this Petunia Pop ink refill yet, but it's okay because a new ink pad is pretty juicy. So I've got this nice spot right here to work with. And so I've got my E block, which is nice and large, and I will just put 1 drop of Balmy Blue and 1 drop of Azure Afternoon. Okay, that's the start. Now I've made this card before that I'm making for you, but I changed up the color scheme, so it's going to look completely different this time. I'm excited to see what this was, because I realized after I made the other card that I'll show you that one. I've made 2 others, and I'll show you them both when I'm finished. But I realized, like Petunia Pop is my favorite in color, and I really haven't used it very much. So I'm like, it's time to remedy that. Okay, I'm using my water painter, as well as I just keep a thing of water nearby. You can squeeze this also and have the same effect, but sometimes it's just easier. Sometimes I need water really quick. And with a technique like this, sometimes you're squeezing a lot, and so you lose you lose a lot of water and there's none left in the brush, like if you're making a lot of them especially. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just really cover this entire piece. And this is just a full sheet of watercolor paper cut in half. I almost always just do that. The sheets are 5 by 7, so I cut it in half so it's 3.5 by 5 inches, which makes a really nice card front. All right, something that I am going to do different this time that I didn't do before is add a little bit of Wink of Stella, so I'm going to keep that handy. But for now, I'm going to just show you, let's see, what I'm going to just add a little more water, and now I'm just going to add these two colors, and just kind of randomly. I want both colors to still show when I'm finished, but I also want to cover the entire page. So you can see there's a lot of, when they're mixed together like that, it might just look like blue, but there's a lot of light and dark in there. It was kind of my goal, okay? Now some white space is okay, but I am going to the edges on this. That looks pretty good. I'm going to stop there, except for I'm going to add just a little bit of Wink of Stella, maybe just a couple drops here and there. Let's see, so this one is, I'm going to squeeze it. Come on, I hope there's some left in this brush. Yep, there it is, here it comes. So just drip one drop over there and one drop over here, and maybe just one. Whoop, okay, that should be good. So hopefully you can see that. Ooh, that's gonna be cool. Okay, now you can dry this with a heat tool, but I'm just gonna pause for like 15 minutes maybe and let it dry a little bit. It doesn't need to dry all the way. It doesn't need to be bone dry for the next step because I haven't used my petunia pop yet, and I still want to throw some of that on here, but I'm going to just kind of let it dry a little bit first. If I were to throw that on now, it would merge, like these two blues have merged, and I want that color to stand out a little bit differently. Well, in true Shannon fashion, I didn't even look at the clock to know when to start my 15 minutes, but I brushed my teeth and got a drink of water and talked to Chris for a minute, so I think that's about 10 to 15 minutes, and this is looking pretty good because you can start to see that there's some drier spaces, but then some that are a little bit more wet. Now, where I dropped the Wink of Stella have become kind of these blobs, sort of, so I'm going to just drop a little more water here and see if I can kind of spread those out a little bit so that it's not just like a big white blob in the middle of the blue. I didn't intend for that to happen. So just kind of spread that around a little bit. And then I probably will need to let it dry again. Totally lost all my white space in the middle. But honestly, I think this technique will work and look good anyway. And so I'm not too worried about it. So I'm going to heat this now with my heat tool just a little bit to speed along the process. All right, it's drier now, so there's still a little bit of wetness there. And now I'm going to bring in my petunia pop. So just drip a little bit of this on there, and then I'm just going to actually just do some spritzing. And I want some kind of really watery ones and then some more dry ones. So this time I'm going to get my brush a little bit more dry and try to get some of the stronger colors so there's like smaller dots. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I don't know, maybe for fun we'll just do like a bigger, like a more purple section like that. I don't know. Just experimenting here and seeing what happens. All right, so now all of the watercoloring is finished. Oops, I need to, let's see, I recommend if you do this to your ink pad, you'll want to wipe the water out because otherwise it will get merged back with your ink pad. A little bit did there, but that's not too much. So just wipe that out so that you don't get the water transferring over to your ink pad. Okay, next step, got to dry it all the way. Yes, I love watercoloring. It never gets old. And just as I had hoped, the petunia pop pops. Look at that. So we've got some specks that are really nice and light pink where they overlapped the Wink of Stella, and then some that are more like this is kind of purple over here, and then these in the middle look more like true petunia pop, which is what needed to happen because that color is so cool. I love it. Okay, next step. So I'm going to take this entire piece, which is 5 inches in length, and cut 1/4 inch strips. Now, if you can think back to the template that I showed you, that is why. All of these little strips. when you're doing something like that, you just want to make sure when you're cutting strips like this, just try to get them as straight as possible. I did get a couple that the paper kind of shifted. So that's interesting. We'll have to see what happens there. I want to have options. So I was going to see which paper I wanted to use here and test these out. Okay, so I'm going to layer these all on top. What looks better, Night of Navy or Blueberry Bushel? I think Night of Navy looks better. So I'm going to move forward with that. I've got my card. It's all ready to go. And now I'm going to involve my liquid glue. Now this part can be a little tricky, but I have done this once before, so I kind of know where to go. You want to put it, you know, pretty close to the sides, all 4 sides, and then fill it in some. And there we go. And if you get it too far out, you can always use your adhesive remover to fix that. Okay, now I feel like we need to look at the template one more time, just so that we are reminded of the cool pattern that's there. Now see this template right here, and see how it's not straight. It's kind of like moves back and forth a little bit haphazard. Like there's no real rhyme or reason to it. So I'm going to hope to get that type of look. So I'm not going to do like that. I'll keep them closer together, but I mixed up all the pieces. They're not next to each other. I think that actually would have been a lot harder than it was worth to keep them all lined up. And then I thought, oh, this might look really cool. So I tried it once. I loved it. So that's what we're doing here. See, now that one's not covering the glue, so I'll bump it over just a little bit. And those are kind of like lined up now. So I'll bump that second one over if it still moves. There we go. And I might be able to trim some of the edges, but you get the idea. So I'm going to cover the entire card. Wow, does that look kind of crazy or what? I'm trying to take it all in and see what I think. I love the white space that was created from like the tops and bottoms and stuff. And I think it still has kind of a focal point over here. So that's interesting. That's neither here nor there. I mean, this side is more heavy with the petunia pop, and that's fine. But there's definitely still a shimmer there, which is amazing. And I love it. Moving on. Now, the bundle that I'm going to be using is Friends for Life. So that's this stamp set. I'm only going to be using the Happy Birthday, though, and then the dies. This is a really cool bundle. I love this bundle. And I've cut out this piece with basic white, so I'm just going to pop all these little pieces out. Actually, I learned that the Take Your Pick tool is great for doing that too, but I actually have the wrong attachment on it. Is it in here? There it is. Let's put that attachment on it, and then just kind of pop these out so that I can get those out without tearing it. Okay, so I'm going to use this piece as decoration. Just a nice white, beautiful leaf. I've got Petunia Pop cardstock, and I'm punching it out with the 2 3/8 inch circle punch, which is an online exclusive, so you can get that online. So that's good. I'm just going to take one of these foam strips, tear it in half, and make a nice platform. And then the focal point was kind of down here in the bottom, so I'll just follow that, set that right there. And I've got a little bit of liquid glue on my fingers. Okay, speaking of liquid glue, now we need this, a little bit of liquid glue on this. So I'll just put it on this middle portion right here so that it doesn't overlap or go beyond the circle punch. Make sure there's a stray piece right there. I'm going to knock that out. Okay. So I'll just kind of like let that sit right there. Woo, that looks so cool. The contrast in the colors there. Last step is to take a piece of basic white and stamp Happy Birthday. And since I'm using Night of Navy cardstock, I need Night of Navy ink. All right, just fussy cut the Happy Birthday, and well, not fussy, I don't know, straight fussy cut. And now I'm going to just place this on the Petunia Pop circle. Ooh, I cannot wait to see what my competitors do for their templates. I have no idea. Like, I don't know if they've even made their projects yet. We never talk about that type of stuff beforehand. But I'm curious if one of them will use the same template or if we will do 4 different templates. Usually we do different stuff. I'm on the edge of my seat and I wonder if you are too. But look at this card. I'm so happy with it. And I need one more little bit of ornamentation in the form of some of these new amazing iridescent faceted gems. Let's just put these all over this card and make it really incredible. I'll put another one up here. Now, if you like this card, and hopefully you do, thumbs up, thumbs up. Give me a like so that I can beat those guys and win. Well, I don't know. I mean, everybody's a winner, right? But I like to wear that crown, so hopefully I will get to win. Okay, so this card is finished. I really hope you enjoyed, and thanks so much for giving me your attention. Now, as promised, I want to show you the other ones that I made. This was the one that I made in preparation, so a slightly different color scheme. This time I used Balmy Blue and Pool Party. But together I thought the Pool Party kind of looked green, and so that's why I decided to switch it out and try Azure Afternoon and see how it looked different. And then the first one I made is completely different. Look at this one. This one I did much more of like a drop method with the watercoloring, and I did really like this. It felt a little too busy to me and just kind of like maybe a little bit overwhelming. But the technique is so fun to do, and I'll probably find another way to incorporate that in the future. Whereas these I just did, as you saw, a little bit more standard watercoloring. There it is. End of my video now. Okay, thanks so much. Bye-bye.